Hello and welcome to the DM's Book Club, a weekly book club podcast where we talk about some Dungeons & Dragons most of the time and how we can include it and improve it for our role-playing campaigns. With me, I've got a very special guest for a very special episode, in person, live from DM's Book Club HQ.
Yes.
It's my wonderful friend, Alan.
Yes, hello. It's so nice to be here.
Yeah, it's so nice to be in person. I was like, I can vaguely see you and touch you.
Yeah, I've heard that there's been like a lot of recording over like very long distances and being able to like look you in the face is a great thing. So,
yeah. I can't blame delay if I go, oh, no, I disagree. Oh, no, the zoom ins. Yep. Nope, can't do that.
No, Unfortunately, you're going to have to deal with me for the entire length of the episode. I know. So.
Curses.
Yeah.
So, Alan, obviously, I always ask this of my new co-hosts who come on. How did you get into tabletop games? Have you always... Because I know you run a lot of games, but did you start off as a player, or were you just, like, thrown in at the deep end?
Yeah, I think, I think imagination's always been super important to me, and I think when I was young, I did a lot of kind of just imagination games with my friends. You know, we kind of crafted these worlds with each other, like, during recess, and then we would kind of draw out the things that we were imagining, and I always loved the feeling of that, right? The feeling of just like making something from scratch that was informed by the things that made you feel, I don't know, alive in the stories that you were hearing. And I didn't really engage with that for a long time, and then when I finally got to college, I was like hanging out with some friends and they were like, hey, let's play some Pathfinder. And I got really excited. I played a character that is just like pretty generic rogue. And it was like, it was like a rogue ranger kind of feeling thing. But it was fine. And then I remember just getting more and more interested into the podcasts that were coming out for like all the D&D material that was happening, and all of a sudden my brain activated and my theatrical stuff started colliding with D&D, and then all of a sudden I realized, I could do more acting while I'm doing D&D, and instead of it being just number crunchy, because I had seen so many people talk about it like number crunchy, right? And so when I was finally like, I can talk in all these different accents, and I can talk with like, a bit of my like vocal flair, like that type of stuff, and doing acting was what really pulled me in. And then writing the stories afterwards, becoming a DM, that was an incredible joy to like carry on that portion. So yeah, that's how it happened.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so what was the jump then? Because obviously Pathfinder, as you said, it is very crunchy.
Yeah.
So was it just like you play that game and going, I wonder what else there could be, and then what is it about D&D specifically that draws you, as someone who, as you said, you write a lot of stuff as well, and you obviously, I know you run lots of games as well, and obviously had your own sort of actual play as well. So like, what is it about D&D specifically, if you have something on that?
I think that 5th edition came out right at like, I don't know, when I was first getting into the Pathfinder stuff, but my DM at the time, she got the core rule books for 5th edition for her birthday, and she was like, well, I just want to run this instead. And I think that the greatest thing that the 5th edition ever did was make things simple, right? I think that 3.5, Pathfinder, 3rd edition, 4th edition, a lot of them got really crunchy, like really number crunchy. And like, of course, there's a lot of people who love that, right? And that's great. I'm super excited that those people have editions that they feel really attached to. But for me, when I hear, you're good at something, you have advantage, or you're bad at something, you have disadvantage, and that's it, right? It's like, I don't have like +5 modifier to stealth while I'm in water crouching at night. It's like, these things like feel like too much for me to remember, and it allows me to focus more on like the interactions with the people that I'm with, and that's the stuff that drives me, those character investigations, those conversations. And I think, honestly, a game system is at its best when it gets out of the way, right? 100%. And it lets you tell the story, and it gives you like a framework for things, and that's cool. And I love casting spells and playing with swords in D&D. That's great, right? But I think that during the interim, when I'm like just trying to do role playing, like that stuff, when it gets out of the way, that's the point for me for where D&D is like the most like effective. And so I think 5th edition did a great job of not being in the way all the time. So
absolutely. And I feel like, because a lot of people will still even say then that it is still too crunchy, that 5th edition stuff getting away. But I think that's the thing, again, it's one of the biggest ones that everyone's heard of. It's people getting into it. And so then, but as you said, as the games master or the DM, you can facilitate it. So like, yeah, well, I'm going to roleplay for that. Well, it was really good what you just said. Yeah, I'm not going to make you roll for it unless you really want to. But like, you persuaded me, the storyteller. I see that. So then my next question following on from that, have you looked at the most recent 2024 rules, or are you still sort of looking at the 5th edition rules? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
You know, I think a lot of my friends have been keeping up on like the 2024 rules ever since they were started, and I've thought that they've had some really good ideas. I thought that they've backtracked on a couple good ideas.
Yes.
I think we've talked about this before, where I still miss the wizards can craft their own spells. I thought it was so flavorful. I like that they've kept some small things, like the warlock can use agonizing blast on any cantrip. I just wish they would still let them choose int, wiz, or ka. But I think there's a lot of cool stuff that's coming out of it. I do think that wizards is taking kind of small swings instead of big swings for certain things. Though I will say what we're talking about today is a much bigger swing than 100%. They've taken in a while, which is really cool, and I'm happy that they're doing that. But it does feel like they could take bigger swings. But I'm generally happy that they're maintaining this kind of low interaction. Like, it doesn't feel nearly as crunchy as previous stuff. And if you build, like, characters parallel, like if you build a ranger in 2024 and you build a fighter in 5th edition, if you run them parallel and you choose, the ranger stuff only comes from 2024, the fighter stuff comes from only 5th edition, they'll pretty much be equivalent in the same party, and so you can interchange things from both systems. And as with that being a design principle for it, that's been a really cool thing to see as well. So it doesn't feel like as jarring of a transition.
I think a lot of people go, well, I will never do. You do the very dramatic, like, my D&D, and I think maybe that plays into what you're saying about these smaller swings, because I think people are worried, like, oh, well, we don't want to break the system, because we've got a legion of fans, and something I've been thinking about recently is that I think the 2024 rule books, they are very good streamlining. If you were getting in right now, amazing. But they're not game breaking. They're not like, my God, I must run out and start my new campaign in D&D. But I did find it interesting how people are like, but I remember this, and now we're getting a lot of books and settings and stuff coming out which are like, Eberron's coming back. We're getting the Forgotten Realms primer. So it feels like they're not making big swings, but here's something brand new. But that said, this, what we're talking about today, this new Unearthed Arcana, it feels like, ooh, where are we going? So Alan, what are we talking about today?
We're talking about the Unearthed Arcana, the Psion. And I'm really excited because I think they added some tiny things with this in the 5th edition, but they didn't commit really hard. And now this Unearthed Arcana has come out, and the actual first words are the first new class since the Artificer. And I was just so enthralled by that because, I remember the Artificer coming out in Eberron, and that being a really cool thing, but the Psion has these roots back to 1st edition, right? And it's been in the game for so long, or at least psionic ideas, right? But it's been a very rocky road for it for a long time, and I'm excited to see them try again and see what they're gonna get up to in this one. So
it's interesting because they technically, there's always this one with the glasses. We do have kind of scions already, because we've got stuff like the Psi Warrior, Soul Knife for the subclass for the Rogue, and we've got the Aberrant Sorcery. So as you said, this idea has already been around, but to have its own dedicated class, and like you said, people are so excited. I was like, I get it. I like a new class, and I was like, oh no, Scions. For me, I've always been a big fan of the Artificer. I can visualize that. Scions, I was like, I can't personally see it until we'll get on to the subclasses. But then, people in the comments that we had the video, they were like, I can't wait. So excited. And so I don't know if you could speak to that. What's the appeal of a Scion? You know what I mean?
It seems like it's a really polarizing kind of thing, right? I think some people just find the ideas of being like someone who does magic with your mind, or like really focusing in on certain portions of what a scion kind of like engages with, of like, you know, like the ability to push or pull something with your mind, or I think that's been like a very common theme in like, you know, sci-fi and things like that for so long, right? And it's, you know, people who love that are really interested in engaging with it as a player, right? I think for a lot of players, they haven't had a lot of access to that because they'll see things like Illithid or, you know, Beholders or things, or Aboleths in D&D, and they'll see those things and they'll be like, oh man, like these things have these like psychic abilities, and that is so interesting to me. You know, I think this Eldritch horror, like channeling eldritch power is such a cool thing for people, because knowing the unknowable is an interesting concept, and seeing people, you know, people being able to see themselves do that as a player is really interesting. But it's also polarizing in the sense of like, you know, it's a very big sci-fi thing, but some people are like, hey, like, does that really fit in the D&D setting of like sword and sorcery? I think there's been like a really polarizing feeling for that, because D&D as a system has kind of leaned harder into sword and sorcery for most of its time, right? And when you have a lot of psionic stuff in there, it can kind of feel like they're clashing. And even in older editions, psionics was a completely separate system from magic.
Right.
Like, casting Counterspell, it was like, well, that doesn't affect me because I'm using psionics, right? Like, and then there were even combats where it was only mental battles. You never touched each other physically. It was like, I'm fighting you with my brain. And that was like a whole combat. It was insane. And like, can you imagine like trying to think of all of the rules of like, I'm going to try and engage this person in mental combat right now?
See, but
like,
I just think of like, not How I Met Your Mother, the other one, The Big Bang Theory, and you have children are so going, I'm doing it with my, I'm just like, that's why I feel really bad about it, because I'm really excited for it, and I'm just like going like, really? Like, and I feel like I agree with you with the sci-fi stuff, because I think Stranger Things, right? Yeah. And you have the 11, and that's my sort of my keystone thing. And I think, yes, that makes sense. My issue, I guess, is that as soon as someone picks a psionic, the story becomes about them and their character, and everyone's supporting it. And I think that's okay. Those are stories that we can tell. But I think if you were going, I'm going to run Curse of Strahd, I'm going to run a Horde of the Dragon Queen, or Into the Abyss, and someone goes, I want to be a psionic, and you're like, cool. It's not. This isn't. You know, I feel like it's like this has to be a homebrew, and we have to have proper conversations about spotlight and story and narrative, because it's. You know, it's good for one person to do it, but then it might feel like, well, we're just supporting this person's character. So I do feel it's maybe more edgelord, but I don't know. That's how I see it.
I think that's such a valid interpretation. I would say. When you talk to players about that type of like character creation, do you often like, will you be like, oh, like, I don't know if exactly a psionic thing will work, but maybe we could flavor it to not be perfectly psionic. Like, those type of questions are things that I ask. Like, what is your stance on like trying to figure that type of that strategy out? Or is psionics like it's like, well, this is like a whole extra thing, because they have integrated it into like the normal magic system now, which is good, I think, for streamlining. But like, because I don't want to worry about two separate magic systems like that. That seems insane. But like, how would you deal with that?
Well, interesting, just on that, is that has been also polarizing, and people going, oh wait, it's just a full caster. And some people are like, oh yeah, thank goodness it's a full caster. And you're just like, no, again, this is why feedback is good, but I'm just like ignore. Everyone's gonna have a different opinion. I think it's interesting for me. I'm very bad as a player. I rarely come with an idea. I let everyone else go, and I go, right, here's where the gap is. And I feel like, to me, and this sounds awful, when someone goes, I want to play a psionic, I'm like, I'm the main character energy. But again, it's that sort of thing. If someone wants to do that, and I go, cool, well, who am I to you? And so I think for me, is like, if we're going to have this character, again, like you said, maybe I think I'd even suggest, like, are you sure you don't want to be an aberrant sorcerer? Do you not want to be a soul knife rogue and have a flavour to it? Because I said, I don't really have too much in terms of personal cultural touchstones for the subclasses, for example. I mean, I can see them now that I've looked them up, but I don't know. So in my head, I wouldn't say no straight out. Someone said, I want to do a psionic. I think I'd have to really think carefully, and maybe just talk to them like, what is it about it that you want? And if they can inspire that passion in me, I go, oh, I've got a great story idea. Because I feel like that's my worry, is that I'd be like, okay, you could do a cool thing, I have nothing for you because, as you said, that sort of it appeals more sci-fi over fantasy. So I think you have to pick your setting very carefully.
I think so too. I honestly, I do think that there can be these like really harsh warps of like classes to fit into a certain fantasy, right? Like, I think my most recent character that I played, his name was Giacomo, and he was a sorcerer that didn't believe he was magical. And he basically had a sword, and then his whole thing was he would go booming blade, quicken booming blade. And he just thought that the sword was magical, and that's where he thought all of his power came from. But I could see Giacomo playing the cyborg, right? Cool. Or even the metamorph. But like, I wouldn't play him like, you know, like, oh, I'm changing my body's flesh, right? Which is something insane that I think the metamorph can do, which is absolutely crazy. But I think that, you know, I would flavor it like I'm using my sword or something like that. So I think there's a lot of ways. I think the least interesting thing for me about characters in D&D is what class you play. Like, you could, if you tell me a character with a cool story, like, you're like, I'm interested, like, here's your world. Like, I will make a character that fits in here. And then after that, we can choose a class. Like, that's oftentimes how I ask people. And you know what? Having more options is never a bad thing, right? And so that's kind of how I feel about the Psion. It's like, yeah, sure, like, some of it probably does feel a little weird, but, you know, these roots go back for, like, where, you know, D&D has so many psionic roots. Aboleths and illithids are, like, core pieces of D&D lore, right? And so I think that it goes back really far, but I can see the polarization too.
And of course, there's, you know, settings as well. Dark Sun, for example, obviously has a very big psionic influence. And again, people have been questioning, are they bringing back Dark Sun? And I'm like, that'll be very interesting.
Definitely. Spelljammer
has it as well. So it's one of those things where I can imagine if you got the right setting, you could make it, but it's not something like, and we tack this on because
big time.
And again, I feel so bad. It's like I'm party pooper going like, you can't be psionic because I'm running Strahd. You know, but I think as long as you come to the table, I think everyone, because this is the thing, they want people to play this. You come to the table and you're like, right, how do we make sure everyone is happy with the story and it that they're not missing out on not doing a cool thing because I have nothing for you as a GM.
You know, maybe I should step back here for a second too, because I think my understanding of like kind of how I think about offering players a space comes from a place of I pretty much only run in one world and I've never run modules, right? I just like, I love writing stuff for myself and I look at modules for inspiration, of course, right? But as well, do you think that running a custom game versus a module would affect like how comfortable people might be with allowing different crazy classes like Psions?
Yeah, I mean, like I think it affects. Certainly, for example, I know the sort of old joke of like the heritage of an Aarakocra is like one of the lineages that can fly at level 1. And so like if you put that in Curse of Strahd really early on, people are like, well, I'm just going to fly over things. And I used to be like, hey, just don't take the mick, you know. And now I've got to it, and I'm like, I can change things so that, okay,
big time.
You fly over it. There's a force field. I can do that. And I think ultimately, I think the modules, like you said, they're there as an inspiration. But I feel like you shouldn't work too hard to... If you are a no-prep GM, you've just read the book, you don't need to be a big improviser to be like, well, I don't know how I deal with this. I think, especially because a lot of times, I think D&D is very much more creative load on the GM to react. As well as be proactive as well. And so, like, you want to reward players for doing cool stuff, but at the same time, you're like, well, I don't want to... This is a shit ending to this encounter. So I think it's a bit of a balance. So what I would look for is like, no matter if it is, I think homebrew is easy because then you can like, well, I can change it because I'm the author. Whereas if you're like, well, maybe it's in this 300-page book. I think maybe it is harder, but ultimately the shit answer is that it depends on your GM, right?
Definitely.
And I think in my head, what I do is I go, cool. I need to think about this. I'm going to call for a break right now. And I'm sorry to break the illusion that I am not your Baldur's Gate 3 game. But so I think it's interesting because you obviously run all yours in one world. And I think, that's why I'm like, for me, the story has to be the setting has to have a big influence on that. So.
I think you're so right. Like, I mean, because I think that I come in with that bias, right? And that's that probably gives me way more leeway in that respect too. Because I think even like, maybe I come in with that too, because I think some other people who've played in my games before have had these like kind of psionic tendencies as well, and they've like kind of had characters similar to psionics. I think I had like a graviturgist, and I was like, oh, this feels pretty close to psionics at a certain point, right? But I totally feel that. So. Well, do you want to get into some of the meat and potatoes of this?
Absolutely,
this is super fun, very cool for the first half, and then I'm like, wow, I really wish that you would have kind of maybe spaced this out. So,
I think it's interesting. Firstly, that not only have they dropped a brand new class, but they've also dropped 4 subclasses. All of them,
4 of them.
4 of them. Just normally I was like 1 or 2 to try something up, but they've gone for the full 4. So that's why, again, in my head, it feels like a setting is coming out, or something like Eberron brought the Artificer. So that's why I'm like, it must be there. But let's get into it. So should we go over how do you want to do this? Do you want to go over the main class features and then subclasses, or is there something that catches your eye?
I think main class features would be good especially because some of the subclasses build on them really heavily. So which I like a lot. So
absolutely. So I think the one thing, and again, I will say this, I might have missed this. It feels like whenever we have a class, obviously, it talks about like what it's like at level 1 and get stuff, and in multi-class normally, I don't know if this has changed for 2024. It says you need a requirement usually of a 13 whatever. Not here. You could just multi-class as a psionic, as I believe it to be the case.
So far, I'm not seeing anything on this page.
Which is like wild to me, but again, it makes sense. Like again, if you were like, actually, I do want to multi-class into this, whatever, maybe a story point or anything like that. You aren't restricted necessarily by your intelligence modifier. That is the main sort of thing that you use for stuff. But I thought that was really interesting because normally your main class of modifier has to be 13 and above. So I just thought that was really interesting to start off with.
I agree.
So just to go sort of over it, we've got like 3 level 1 class features, then 2 level 2s, 1, 3, 4 obviously ability score improvements that happen throughout, 1, 5, 1, 7, and then a big jump to 19.
That's crazy.
Which is crazy, and then a final level 20. You always have to have one there. And again, the psionic subclasses obviously fit in and around there, but it feels like a massive gap.
It is kind of crazy. Because it's one more time, it's 7 to 19. 7 to 19. That's 12 levels. I mean, I get it because spellcasters oftentimes have weird jumps like that. Because they get on these odd level breakpoints, they get those new spell level casting things. I do find that kind of boring sometimes because it's like I want my class to interact with my spells actually. But it is a pretty big jump.
I mean, it's the same. I think the Bard has it and the Warlock has it, where it's just like you just get more stuff of the same thing. You're like, do I not get a cool flavour or something? No, you get more spells. And you're like, okay, it totally makes sense, but it just feels like, do I not get anything?
Definitely. I do think actually your number of dice and your psionic energy die do go up pretty substantially during that point. And so there is like a large increase in that, which I do think is really, like, I mean, from level 7, you start with a D8 and 6 psionic energy die. And then at level, 19, once again, you're at a D12 with 12 of them, of these dice, which is insane. So,
it feels really flavoursome, this sort of, that sort of, again, and the energy dice, it's basically, that's their version of sort of like, here's what you're spending. It's the key points, it's the maneuver dice, all that sort of thing. That's what they use for that. Level 1, you get spell casting. Again, nothing unusual necessarily, except if you cast a Psion spell, that spell does not require a verbal or material component, even if the spell includes a V or an M in its components. Except any materials that...
I really like that. I think that's super flavorful.
The power of your mind is the spell focus. Totally makes sense. And what's interesting is that, again, later on in this document, it's got these wild talent feats. And it's the same thing where wild talent feats, which I'll quickly explain, is that what if you're like, I don't want to be a full Psion. I just want to have a little taster of stuff. So you'd pick one of those. But if you decided to take one of these as a Psion, any of those components, they're also gone.
Yeah.
Wild. Again, it's
super cool.
It's the cool sort of cinematic, your eyes darken, your camera comes in and you go, no. And you do the spell.
I feel I very much, my brain, whenever I think of that type of scenario, I always remember like Peter Capaldi's eyes when it was the when they were doing the multiple doctors going back, and then it's like oh, now there's two of them, no, and then there's three, and then you see Peter Capaldi's eyes, and I was like, oh my god, that's the feeling I get for the mental stuff.
100%.
So I really liked you don't even need a spellcasting focus, which is super cool, because I think I think honestly this gets kind of lost sometimes, but like if you slap a wizard's book out of their hand, like they cannot cast spells. Right? If a sorcerer does not have some sort of wand or staff, like they are not casting spells. And I think sometimes that gets kind of glossed over in spellcasting, but Psions are just like running around. I don't need to do any of that. I can just look at you.
You're doing
and
the Sheldon,
yes, exactly.
My mind, your mind, absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah.
Next one on level 1, you have psionic power. You harbour a wellspring of psionic energy within you, and this is represented by your psionic energy dice. As you said, your level will determine the dice size and the number of ones you have. The only thing I have with this is that right at the beginning, it says you regain 1 expended psionic energy dice when you finish a short rest, and then you regain all of them when you finish a long rest.
Yeah.
And I've written here, feels a bit rubbish.
Yeah.
I understand what they're trying to do thematically of like, well, you're learning your power, you're slowly getting better at it. And I know later on, you get to a point where you can regain half of them, which makes more sense to me. Yeah. But I feel like, God, if you go, I'm going to mind blast everything, and then like, I feel tired. Because when you have warlocks that can get like, I just felt like I like the idea of like only getting half of them back. And then, but I just felt like 1 measly. Especially like level.
You only get 1, and you don't get any spell slots back. Like it's like on a short rest. That's kind of I agree.
I think because it's a level 5 when you get it back, and I always take this off the view of like normally when you're play testing or stuff like that, you might be doing lower levels. And then it's like 3 or 4 sessions, and then you're done. You're not going to get to level 5 where you can my mind to your mind. I'm back up to a little bit, So I think ultimately my big takeaway from any Unearthed Arcana is that I feel like wizards are being mean. It's like, oh, you would like the shiny thing? You don't get it.
What if we had a cool level 5 ability instead of you just what if it just from the beginning they were just like, you regain half on a short rest? Cool. And what else do I get at level 5? Something else.
It's just a bit dull, right? That psionic restoration, like, okay. And like you said, you don't get spell slots back. That feels like, okay, well that's what I use these things for, right?
Yes, and I think that's a really big portion of like the dissonance of some of this for me is like the psionic energy die are super cool and they've used them in the past and that's very amplifying, but when you're trying to be like, this is your main resource but also spell slots, I think a lot of people were really interested in seeing psionics be a completely separate system that only used like psionic energy die or something like that, and I like that they're integrating into spellcasting. I just wish maybe it felt like they were a little bit more directly linked. Yeah. So, like, maybe, I could I wish I had something like a sorcerer where I could, like, expend energy die to get, like, maybe that's even too boring. I don't know. Like, expending energy die to get spell slots or spell slots to get energy die. I don't know. Maybe there's something that you really like to do with energy die, but there's no way you can get them back any other way. You can't sacrifice spell slots to do that.
No. It's... like it's hit die at the end or something like that.
Yeah, which is odd for it to be hit die as well. I get it. But at the same time, it does feel like odd to like now be spread across 3 different resources that I have to worry about. That is a little odd.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. Still at level 1, you get subtle telekinesis, which is the mage hand cantrip. Again, fine. Like again, it's cool. Yeah. It does. It fits all the sort of tropes of stuff.
Yes.
Level 2 though, you get psionic discipline, which is. It's kind of weird because it feels like not only do we get dice, we also get invocations.
It feels like I'm building a warlock plus, and I already thought building a warlock was complicated.
Yeah, exactly. And like I like the idea of it. Yeah. Like you get these ideas of like extra things you can do with your dice essentially.
Yeah.
And whenever you gain a level, you can replace them. You get 2 at the beginning. You get 2 more at level 10, and then 2 more finally at level 17. So you get 6 in total.
Yeah.
And there's no, from what I can understand, there's no like prerequisites that you need, or like compared to the wild talents, you don't, you're not having to, you can only take one of these and you can't take one of those. Yeah. So they're nice. Yeah. It just feels like, again, it's another thing. Okay. Yeah. I don't know.
I like that Eldritch Invocations have some prerequisites to them as well. I think that there's like some that are really cool, where it's, you have to be level 6 and you have to have this subclass, but then you get this really potent thing that really feels flavorful for what you're doing. So and I really like those. I think they're fine, but I do kind of feel like, what are we sacrificing for that? Yeah. Because they're great and they let you be really flexible with how you play. Yeah. But when I feel like going back to the psionic power for the beginning, you get telekinetic propel and telepathic connection as like baseline stuff, right? You get both of those. Propel is you can roll a psi energy die, you push people away 5 times the number that you roll, and that's really cool, very flavorful for like psionic abilities. And then telepathic connection, you can talk to people in your mind. That's really cool. Why aren't those disciplines? Right? Like, why am I getting these ones specifically if I don't have any interest in doing telepathic stuff? I just want to push people, right? Like, I'm just like moving things with my mind. I really do get a little confused on like, psionic power giving you those 2 and then having to choose more disciplines. I can't imagine like, an instance in which I am really excited about Propel, but I'm like, I don't think I would ever use telepathic connection. Like, I'm like not using portion of my class because it's not flavorful to who I am.
So I have a question about telepathic connection. And as someone who's run a lot of D&D, maybe you'll have parties that go like, we're going to have a way to talk to each other all at the same time. And message. What is the baseline ruling on telepathy? Is it that you can only talk to one other person? Yeah. Right.
So it's confusing, right? Right. So, let me read the whole thing. Yeah. Telepathic connection. You have telepathy with a range of 5 feet. As a bonus action, you can expend... Actually, I want to stop there. Yeah. There's a full stop. You have telepathy with a range of 5 feet. Full stop, right? Cool. Which I think means that you can talk to people, but they can't always answer back. There's like... Telepathy, I think, I at least know that for most telepathy I've seen, it's I can talk to people, right? Yeah. But I feel like it implies that you'll be able to be communicated with in reverse.
I don't know.
But I'm not sure. It doesn't really say very specifically.
I know this 2014 stuff, but message is like, I can do this one, it's only one way, you can't reply to it. Fine. Yeah. But like later on in studying the telepath subclass, it talks about like, you can speak up to like your energy dies up. I'm like, wait, so I can't do a party line to everyone right now? Yeah. Oh, it goes up to 30 feet, or even more. I'm just going like, what's the baseline of me just trying to talk to you with my
Is it
Sheldon
exhausting
mind?
for me to change people? Because like if I have telepathy within 5 feet, if everybody huddles up, can I just relay to everybody? I'll just be your brain relay.
Yeah, is it just literally it's a Zoom call and only I can speak at one time? You can't have your own little conversations. It's just me going like, I'm broadcasting to all rooms. Yeah. And you can't respond. That's the thing. I have no idea what it means, because like in my head, it should be like level 1 is like I can talk to a willing creature within whatever range, like 10 feet or whatever, and we can communicate as if we share a common language. Yeah. And then if I want to do it to other people, I have to end our call and then FaceTime someone else. And then you build up going like, okay, I can now talk to a whole group of people. That's fine. But I'm just like going like, wait, what is even the base for this? Because it felt like it was a bit shitty to begin with. I agree. Right?
Yeah. And now, but then I have to I'm like given that at a baseline, and so now a portion of my class's like power bandwidth is caught up in that too, and it does feel a little odd. Yeah, I think it does. It feels a little like prescriptive, right? It's telling you what a psion is instead of letting you choose that in a way.
I think you're right. I think both telekinetic propel and telepathic connection should be disciplines and suggested as one, rather than you take. Yeah, because I was just like going like. Yeah, I like the propel stuff. Again, it's all very cinematic, and I really love that. But I'm just like going like, but the connection, like I guess as somebody who has run games, and then people are like, I've got to get this message across, and you're like, okay, but I need to know how you're doing that because there are guards here. So who's my mind? I was like, they can't respond to you. They're like, like how do you do it? It's very I thought it was a cool way, because like even with the telepathic connection, it says obviously you expend an energy die, you roll it, and for a number of minutes equal to that your level. So if you're at level 1, the range of it is increased by the number of the feet times 10, right? Yeah. So say for 1 minute you rolled a 1 on your d6. 10 feet.
I got 10 feet. Yeah.
15 feet or whatever. But then at the end, it's like for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It's 120 feet.
That's crazy.
But I can only talk to one person.
Yeah.
And they might not be able to respond back unless I take it. Yeah, I don't know. That's what it felt like, and I was just thinking,
I totally agree. And I think I even wrote a note in here where like 2 out of 3 subclasses like change telepathic or telekinetic propel, right? Yeah. And then 1 changes telepathic connection.
Yeah.
Why would I not, when I choose a subclass, just be like, when you take this subclass, you automatically gain the discipline telepathic propel, right?
Yeah.
That seems a very reasonable way to do that. Like, and you could just have like tiered disciplines to let them have more power bandwidth across different times. You could have level 1 psionic disciplines, and then you get more when you go up in levels. You can change your psionic disciplines, like warlocks can change invocations whenever they gain a level or something like that. So,
because I just sat here thinking, like, am I being silly? Like, am I just on a Discord call by myself and then it ends because no one else is doing
crazy.
it? You know?
Yeah, it is weird to think like I am the connective hub of all of my friends communicating. That feels very weird because all of a sudden I'm like receiving if it is this case where this telepath towards the end of the subclasses is able to receive messages as well. Now all of a sudden I'm like, being the center point for all of them, and then like everybody's hearing it and I don't want to do that. No. Like when I'm playing D&D, I don't want to do that.
It's a fun bit for half a session, and then that's it.
Yeah.
And then the other thing you get at level 2, on top of discipline, on top of energy dice, you have 2 modes.
I hate these.
I see, again, it's outside, interesting.
Yeah.
So it made me think of like any martial games you play where I'm in my defensive stance. So as a video game thing, it's fine.
Yeah.
But yet another thing you have to think about.
And I think I only hate them because they're stacked on top of psionic power, psionic discipline, psionic mode. It's like, I wish... I like the idea of an attack and a defense mode.
Right.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But the fact is that they're stacking all those things on top of each other. It feels
level
complicated.
2, you're going to forget it. You're going to absolutely forget it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about those video games where, like Assassin's Creed, all that sort of thing, where you're like attack mode, more damage to your stuff, essentially. Yeah. Great. Defense mode, you have resistance, and also you can spend some dice to make saves to the saving throw. Turning success. Great. Yeah. I think we need one that is like support mode. Yeah. And you can do something,
There's a lot of great support stuff in this class. I really love... I was kind of in awe at how much great support stuff is really like built into the Psion. One of my gripes when I first read it was that I feel like it's trying to do kind of everything. And I felt a little too jack of all trades from it. And that does feel a little funky, but I think that the fact is that feels bad when you are trying to play a support Psion and you have an attack and a defense mode but no support mode, right? So I do feel like that is a little lacking.
I feel like maybe what will happen is that they'll put these modes into like a Psi Warrior S-type thing, and it's like you are the one that does. Yeah. You're using your mind powers to support in battle and stuff like that. More to that, I think, because I would definitely forget. I'm like, have I used this feature twice already? Yeah. I can't remember. Because, later on you get another one of them. Like, oh, great, one more. Yeah. Fine, I guess.
It would be really fun if they had something like all the disciplines. Like, if you're like the melee Psion, all of a sudden you're like, well, I want to be the stance swap Psion. And they had the disciplines, and you could spend a psi die to swap stances. Yeah. Like, that type of thing would be super fun. But I do think, like, this like, all these disparate pieces coming together, it feels a little too gish for me, and I feel like I wish it were I wish you could focus more, because sometimes I want to focus on being only I'm pushing with my mind, or only I'm talking to people. Yeah. But it does feel like when I do this, like I have to choose one of these. Right. But maybe I'm not interested in attack or defense, right? But I have to know that I have this ability, and maybe it'll come up, maybe it won't. But it's another thing to keep in mind. There was
definitely talk about, like, wouldn't it be great if we had a more social class, subclass to this? And like they've been talking about it before, because like obviously we're not all playing D&D to have lots of combat. We might want to do stuff like... And, like, I know with some of those disciplines as well, it's like, when you do a search action, when you do this action, you'll gain a benefit. And I'm like, okay, that's cool, because then you could be like, I can then customize it to be more if it's a murder mystery or anything like that. But yeah, I was a bit like going like, man, I'm just going to be there in the background. Like, I will just use my mind powers.
Yeah.
And I'll tell people, move over there.
Yeah.
They can't hear me.
Yeah.
No, they've gone.
Yep. And I think as well, like going back to the telepathic connection, you were saying like, I don't know exactly what that means. I do think that in 2024, I would really like to see them maybe be a little bit more verbose, because I feel like I keep having to look up, okay, what exactly is an influence action?
Oh, don't.
What exactly is a magic action, right? Like, these feel a little too broad and a little too word salady for me.
It definitely feels like we're gonna streamline everything for the company. Here's the terminology guide, and you look it up and it goes, study. It's your what's it? Study is like searching is perception, and it's all these charisma based ones or intellect ones, and weirdly wisdom, animal handling.
Okay,
great.
fine, but also why is this a thing I have to like look up over here every single time? Or like, why can't you put a page number next to the thing or something? I don't know.
And the same with influence as well. It's like I was like, influence is probably anything charisma based.
Yeah.
So your persuade, your deception, your performance. You know, and I'm just like going like, again, maybe it's just we're old now, Alan. Unfortunately, and
maybe
we've
I'm
learned,
just shaking my fist at the clouds.
and everyone's like, it's an influence roll. Because I can't imagine me saying to a player, okay, can you make an influence roll? And they go, what?
What are you talking about?
And I go, because again, everyone's looking at their character sheet.
Persuade me.
Yeah, everyone's going to look at their character sheet and go, can I do a persuasion check? Can I do? Yeah, they're not going to be like, I want to do an influence roll.
Which is like a whole bunch of other. So I would really like to see that be maybe a little bit. Streamlined or verbose or something. That is one thing that I have like maybe an old man D&D gripe with.
Yeah.
So
No, I feel that.
Yeah, let's keep moving on.
Yeah, sure.
The disciplines. There's so many of them.
There's so many of them, there's 11 of them in total, and there's a mixture, like I said, of the social stuff. There's like also like ones which are about like almost like healing as well, the biofeedback one.
Yeah.
One, again, maybe I'm being silly. The ID insinuation one, I think, is the one. So it says like when you cast a spell, and they're very specific about the schools of magic here, which is interesting. They've never done that before as far as I'm aware. And it says, when you cast a spell from either the enchantment or illusion school that forces a creature to make a saving throw, you can spend 2 psionic energy dice and then roll 1 psionic energy die. The target of the spell, you see, subtracts the number rolled from its saving throw against a spell. I'm having to spend 2 die to do it. And maybe it's that sort of thing like I'm forcing my will. Because none of the other ones do that. And I just feel that's I guess because obviously you were like, well, I'm going to just use this all the time. I'm going to spend... I don't understand why you can't just spend 1 and then roll 1. Why are you spending 2? I don't understand. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
I think that there is like... Maybe this one's tuned a little too hard for the late game, because like considering I have 12 of them and I'm rolling a 12, right? Subtracting that from that is really strong, right? But I agree, like in the early game, it's like, why would I use this? Though I will say one thing that I do praise them for in the early portions of these disciplines is I do like the fact that they are choosing certain certain schools of magic. I do like the feeling of that specialization. I think we've just talked about a little bit of that trying to focus in, and I like that. But I do feel a little odd when I see spending 2 to get 1, and then there's spend 1, roll 2, and that's like, it does feel a little odd for them to be like that. So
very pernickety about it. Like again, I think it's just like there needs to be consistency on stuff. Like Psionic Guards was the other one I looked at, because I thought this was interesting. Whereby at the start of your turn you expend 1 energy die. Until the start of your next turn you have immunity to charmed and frightened conditions and advantages on intelligence saving throws. Great. And if you're already charmed or frightened, it ends. Great. When you use this Psionic Guards, you can also use a different discipline on this turn. Like the things that I feel like we've got enough. And then if I use like, I don't know, the ID one, I don't know, it's one of those things I was like, do I need more? It feels like, I don't know.
It does feel kind of crazy. Like after that, I feel like having another action. I think monks got this a little while, at least a 5th edition, where they could do that, and that was the end of their turn. Right, like, and I was like, wow, that's a great ability. Seeing it here, it's even better. So, but maybe there's, I don't know. Maybe there's a certain ability that interacts with that in a certain way that makes it reasonable or needed. I don't think I have full grasp of it right now.
Me neither. And I think, like, again, just in my head, again, maybe when you get higher levels, because some of these ones are like, at a higher level this. I wonder at a higher level then you can also do something, because your mind is expanding and you're being sort of like the Professor X of this and like going, I can do all these things. Yeah. You know, so that was the only thing I was just like going like, God, this feels really OP early on. So I'm like going like, this one's under AP. This one is totally AP. Yeah. So
I think my favorite one as a person who is a sucker for playing a spell sword is Swift Precognition. I took note of this because I took a look at a lot of the spells that were also here, and it says, when you cast a Psion spell from the Abjuration or Divination school with a casting time of an action, you can expend a number of psionic energy die to change it to a bonus action for this casting, and the number of dice equals 1 plus the spell's level. So it's like, whatever, like Abjuration spells, probably not going to need to cast a ton of those in a single turn, whatever. Divination spells, also not that great, unless you're using True Strike. In which case, if I choose Swift Precog and then I use True Strike, I can expend a psionic energy die. True Strike in 2024 is actually good. And when I use it, basically it's what Booming Blade used to be. Right. But it's, you hit them with this and you can change it to Radiant or Necrotic, right? And then you add D6s when you get your cantrip upgrades, right? But I could cast True Strike, Psionic, Swift Precog, True Strike in one turn, and that's very Giacomo, right? And that feels very much like how he would do it.
Oh, very cool.
And I feel like that's a really interesting way for people to kind of maybe maximize that type of spell sword feeling.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, like I said, there's 11 options in total, which is again a weird odd number. Yeah. But I do think we'll see more of them, and again there'll be more options when we get more subclasses as time goes on. But I feel like overall it's a nice set to go into, like a mix of combat and a mix of social and stuff like that.
Yep. Level 3 is the subclass. Level 4 is the ability score improvement, which gets some of the feats later in this. Just some of them are really, really good.
Yeah.
And then 5 is the psionic restoration that you were talking about earlier.
Yes, this should have been earlier. Yeah, this is
and then level 7 psionic surge.
Yeah, so this is when you roll initiative, you expend one of your hit point die to regain one use of your psionic mode. So that attack or defense, which is like, okay. In addition, when you roll one or more of your psionic energy dice, you expend one of your hit point dice and treat any rolls of a 1, 2, or 3 on those as a baseline of 4.
I like that.
Really like that.
Really good.
I think that's really good. I feel like, for me, obviously, it's that sort of thing where you're using your mind and you're pushing it through, but your flesh is weak, and you're like putting it back and forth.
It feels very 11 bleeding from the nose kind of feeling.
Exactly. Yeah. So I thought that was really good. Again, it's just that something going, those psionic modes. Shit. At least you got the second bit of like when you roll more dice, you get a baseline. Because I was like, okay, great. Because otherwise, I'd be like, this is rubbish as a result.
I agree.
And then, nothing for ages, because of subclass stuff, but then we get level 19, which is these epic boons.
Yes.
Naturally, you could choose whatever you want. The one they've suggested here is one called Boon of Energy Resistance, and I've got it here to read it out to you.
Please.
So we have, first of all, with all epic boons, it goes an ability score increase, so increase one ability score by 1, maximum of 30. Energy resistances. You gain resistance to 2 of the following damage types of your choice: acid, cold, fire, lightning, necrotic, poison, psychic, radiant, or thunder. And whenever you finish a long rest, you change your choices. And then finally, energy redirection. When you take damage of one of the types chosen for the energy resistance benefit, you can take a reaction to direct the damage of the same type towards another creature you can see within 60 feet of yourself that isn't behind total cover. If you do so, that creature must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or take 2d12 plus your constitution modifier.
Yeah.
Okay, I like it. My issue, I guess, is the energy redirection stuff. It's a cool thing, like, again, cinematic.
Yeah.
If you're in, the fire planes, fire elemental throwing fire at you, you go, uno reverso. Yeah. The fire elemental is going to go, I'm immune to
fire, actually.
Soz. So I think that's the only thing is that, like, I guess, again, it's only a certain type of monster, right? That's the thing. So, but I was just thinking to myself, normally these creatures, when they're firing something at you, they are also resistant. So
that is an interesting point I haven't thought about. Because I was like, maybe you're against a fire dragon, and then you send it back, and you're like, oh wow, I'm doing like literal nothing to this dragon.
Yeah, I mean, it could work well against spellcasters for sure.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
I do think it's just interesting because in my head, because I'm just going like, well, I'm on the fire plane or I'm on the ice plane.
Yeah,
I will have to have resistance to it. But yeah, I think it's just like maybe you're having to fire it at something else.
Yeah,
perhaps maybe again, I would maybe. It ignores resistances. Instead of immunity, it has resistance to it.
Yeah.
So you're still doing something. That's the only thing I could think of. But obviously, this is an epic boon that's already in the book. So maybe I'm missing something here. I don't know.
Well, and I will say I do like that. One of the things I do like about the attack mode is that you can ignore psychic resistance. Right? I really like that. But I do feel like I don't know. I wish there was some other way that I could change my damage to psychic and then ignore resistance, because I think that'd be a cool way to start weaving those pieces together. One of the best ways that I've seen this class work so far is when they're upgrading pieces that you've gotten before in the subclasses. And I think that it would be really cool if, you could change that damage type to be psychic and then you could ignore the resistance and like you're bending it through yourself to like then make it a psychic attack.
It feels very cinematic, feels very much, I really like that.
Yeah.
And then finally, level 20, you have Enkindled, she says. Life Force.
Yeah.
Once per turn, when you expend one of your energy die and roll for it for a psionic feature or discipline, you expend you can spend 2 of your hit point dice to roll 2 additional energy die and add the numbers to the total.
That's crazy.
That's great.
Yeah, it's really good. That's a great capstone.
Level 20 with your D12s. I mean, you're rolling over D12s. Fuck it. Yeah, let's fucking go.
And I love the fact that there is a reason to use my D12s.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a really good thing. Because I miss rolling D12s. They're so chunky and good, but I never have anything to use them for.
Like you get 12 D12s, like as you said at the end. I'm just like, fucking let's go.
Yeah. I have a reason to use all my different sets and just gather all the D12s from all of them into one pool.
And so that's the vanilla class, that's the basic class. Like I said, I think there's some interesting things in there, and I always preface this with the thing of like, obviously neither of us have run, play tested or anything like that, so it's one of those things where I'm like, well, maybe it'd be different in game. Yeah. But I think there's stuff in there where I'm like, I would change this, or I would like to try this and see what it looks like. I'm not constantly like, I'm not arms crossed going like, I don't like any of this. So there's
certainly a lot of it that I like, and there's definitely somewhere I'm a little confused, but that's okay. I'm also very confused about how the original Ranger got printed in 5th edition. So
that's a lot of people confused about that. Yeah.
And also, hold on, I could go on a tangent, but ultimately, I don't know why Hunter's Mark is a spell. Let's continue on.
So let's look over at the subclasses. So as you've mentioned, we've got 4 of them. We've got the Metamorph, the Psi-Warper, the Psi-Kinetic, and the Telepath. Let's start with the odd one out. You have the image, and it's like, which one of these is the odd one out? And you know, it's the one that can extend the limbs.
Yeah, it's the one that's the Eldritch Horror, actually.
What is that? This is your Luffy from One Piece. This is your Elastigirl from The Incredibles. Basically, you physically sculpt life and flesh with the power of your mind. And you think to yourself, who in the office was like, I've got an idea. Let me pitch this to you. Like, even in my wildest dreams, I would not think this. But again, obviously, we have it in cultural media. I said One Piece, in The Incredibles. I think this is the superhero one, right?
I like the idea of this. It feels weird in the Psion class. Right. I love the idea of what they're saying here. It feels like maybe this was... I don't know, like a warlock thing, or I don't know, like some sort of fighter subclass or something like that. This one also feels like it's jam-packed with stuff.
Loads of stuff.
This thing is crazy good at attacking, but also you always have Cure Wounds prepared. And you also always have Aura of Vitality, Mass Cure Wounds at higher levels. This is crazy.
It's the Deadpool, right?
It's crazy.
No matter how much damage you take, you're always going to heal up, or you're going to be able to heal other people up as well.
Yeah, and I like the idea of it, but like this is if you're going to pick a support class, right? This is the Psion that you'd pick, right? Which it feels a little weird when I'm saying I want to play a support class, and then I'm also burdened with the knowledge that I am an eldritch horror who can change their body and shoot their bones, right? That's a wild thing to think about.
It says here, like, your mastery of psionic powers turn inwards. Your flesh becomes like clay and to you, and you mold it into the perfect vessel of your psionic powers.
Yeah.
Horrible.
I love it, but also, why here?
Why, God, why?
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah, level 3, you get some spells. As you said, you know, lots of them are healing, inflict wounds, polymorph stone skin, all that contagion as well.
Contagion, yeah.
Wild, right? On top of that, then you also get these organic weapons. So you can shape your limbs into weapons. Whenever you take the attack action or make an opportunity attack, you reform your free hand, as a deliberately one hand, into one of the following organic weapons. The bone blade, the flesh maul, or the viscera launcher. Now, again, one of these things.
Why here?
One of these things is not like the others. Which one are you going to be using? I'll tell you what it is.
Yeah.
It's not bone blade necessarily.
Yeah. It's the bone gun, probably. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. It's like these hands are also weapons.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, please hand over your weapons. And you're like, okay, and then you just take your arms off. What?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's crazy, and they're really good too. You know, they do D8 piercing damage for the blade, D10 for the maul, and the viscera launcher is a D6 of acid at 30 feet short, 90 feet long. That's really solid for all of those. And I think they use your intelligence modifier for your attack and damage for these. It's really, really solid.
Really good.
Yeah.
And it says here, like, your limb returns after its previous one once you've done it, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean, like, when you get the extra attack at level 6, you can't just go, okay, missed with that visceral launcher, I try again. Like, I wonder if that's, like, I guess the only reason maybe you wouldn't do that is because the damage does not scale up. When you're, like, again, when you're getting into higher levels, it's kind of like, well, it's another D6 piercing that's not magic. That was the thing I was like, going like, I want the visceral one to be like, it's just disgusting. Yeah. And that's why it hits.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think it is, it does, on the bright side, acid damage, which is nice.
That's
and
nice,
so it's extra gross because it's like, hey, this is my bones, and now you are saddled with whatever like grossness that has come out of it from like there's something that has to be said about like I shoot someone and they take acid damage. Something's wrong with me. Yeah. More so than just the fact that I can shoot my bones out of my body.
Yeah, you're getting smaller and smaller because you're using your different discs from your spine, and you're like at the end of the battle, you're like, I'm just going to pick all these back up.
I just gotta like run around and pick my spine up.
Eating it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Awful. I love it.
I love it. Yeah, again, I love it.
Yeah. Why here?
Why here? Yeah. I mean, are we going back to Strahd? I'll go back to Strahd.
Now this I can see in Strahd.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Level 3 as well, you've got extended limbs. So as a bonus action, you can spend one of your energy die, and for the next minute, you gain all of these benefits. Your reach increases by 5 feet, your speed increases by 5 feet. A touch, when you cast a spell that has a range of touch and a casting time of action, you can make it so that range is 10 feet as well.
You know, I think I read it earlier, and I thought it was only one.
No.
You had to choose one? All of them? That's crazy.
That's wild. Yeah.
Cure wounds with 10-foot range.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And with the level 6 abilities, that gets even crazier.
Yeah, where you got your extra attack. Yeah, so this is the thing. I was there going like, surely it's just one of these things. And I'm like, no, you get all of them. Yeah. But again, maybe I'm just, wizards would be mean. It's only 5 feet. What if you scaled up and get an extra 10 feet? Or get it all the way up to whatever. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just going like, let's give them something. Yeah, you know?
Yeah. I think the speed is a little weird for 5 feet. Like reach, I'm like, 5 feet reach. That's great.
It means a lot, right?
Speed, 5 feet is like, that's really nothing.
It's like, just give them 10 feet. Get them 2 squares away and you're doing that, you know? Yeah. So extra attack, level 6, so great. But then it says, in addition, when you cast one of your cantrips, the casting time of an action, you can do it in place of those attacks. Because, with spellcasters, normally just do one and they go, cool. Dude. I missed and I can't do anything else. Yeah. Amazing. You get to do it as one of your actions.
This is just, it's good because it does feel great, but like this is such a slam dunk on the old Eldritch Knight, where Eldritch Knight was like, if you cast a cantrip, you can make an attack as a bonus action, and now both Bladesinger in 5th edition was like, you can attack and cantrip, and just Eldritch Knights are over here sad.
What about me?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But not even just that, the quickened healing is even crazier. When you cast Cure Wounds, you can expend 2 psionic energy die to change the casting time to a bonus action for this casting.
Amazing.
And when you do, you can roll a psionic energy die and add the number rolled to the total amount of hit points restored. What?
Yeah.
That's like, if I'm playing support and I walk up to someone, I go, cure wounds. At my action and my bonus action both cure wounds. That's like so strong, even at like early levels. Additionally, I can't even imagine like watching someone go run around the battlefield, shoot their bones at me, then go up to another person and like use True Strike, hit them with a cantrip, and then turn to their friend and then like send healing magic to them. And I'm like, what Eldritch God has this person played with? So,
because I guess the only thing I would think about is like, how much can you activate these things? I guess because it depends on the turns. Because I'm thinking extend limbs as well. So again, that goes into the quick and healing stuff as well. So it's just like you maybe activate that at the beginning of combat rather than all in the same turn as well. Because like, how much can we just spend all the energy dice at once? You know what I mean? Like it could be, right?
So I think only the disciplines are one per turn.
Right.
Energy dice you can use as however you like. So you can just dump everything right away if that's what made you happy, I guess. If you want to go into a fight and start it off.
Well, you finally get to level 5 and go, great, I get them all. I get half of them back.
Yeah, that's great. Now I don't have to worry about that a little bit less.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Level 10 is mutable form. So when you use it, extended limbs, it now increases those 3 things, increases to 10 minutes. And you gain one of the following benefits of your choice. So it's like, whoa, hang on, we maybe went overboard a little bit. Yeah. You get stony epidermis. Yep. You get superior stride, and then you get unnatural flexibility. So that's why I was thinking of this one piece thing. It was like not only with the flexibility, you get +2 to AC, but you can change your shape and like go through a tiny thing, be big. Oh, great.
I love the fact, it says you can go into spaces as narrow as an inch, and that is just like terrifyingly awesome. Yeah. It feels very X-Men when they when that guy just like got his powers and he's like squeezing through
the bar. Very octopus-like. Yes. You know, like, this is gross. Everyone just has to look away. Yes. I guess, it says body along with any equipment you're wearing or carrying. So your armor, it doesn't get left behind. So you definitely have all your clothes.
That's wild. I can't imagine like being, having this huge sword and then being like, well, my equipment, so it's going to squeeze through this 1-inch hole.
Yeah, it's like some sort of like wibbly wobbly wand of some sort. Stony epidermis, you have advantage on Constitution saving throws to maintain concentration, and in addition, choose one of the following damage types, the usual sort of things. You gain resistance to that chosen type. Again, very cool. Again,
really good.
I'd like a little bit of flavour. Again, maybe I would do this where it's like, your skin hardens to almost like a plastic type thing, perhaps. Something I was thinking of.
I love that. I honestly, this feels like the one that most support people would be choosing, right? Because you get that advantage on con saves or concentration checks as well.
Yes.
And that's great. But I think this is at the point where I first was like, this subclass is like kind of everything. Yeah. And it does feel like it kind of pushes some of the other ones out of the way.
100%. So, like, out of the 4 of them, I looked at, I was like, I want to play this little guy, this goblin, whatever what the heck is this? So again, it got sort of thing. It's like, well, you have your very serious like warlock and rogue, and I know how it is, and then I'm like, hello, my leg's fallen off. Yeah. Can anyone help me? The kind of story you're telling with this. Yeah. And again, that's sort of setting the expectations at the table, going like, okay, they maybe aren't the main character, but they're going to fuck all of your stuff up. Yeah. So you got to... absolutely.
Maybe, I don't know... something I'd like to see a little bit more in D&D is restrictions on spellcasting. Like, I think, like, if it said something like Cure Wounds or all of your healing spells can only target yourself. Like, I think that'd be really cool for this class. Yeah. But then you can't have a support scion, which is like, I do wish there was maybe a little bit more focus, and then one of the latter classes was changed into a more focused support class, maybe. Yeah. But we'll get there. But
going into level 14, finally, life-bending weapons. So this is what you're sort of talking about. Yeah. When you hit a creature with one of your organic weapons, expend one of the psionic energy die. Each creature within a 10-foot emanation or originating from you gains hit points equal to the number you've rolled. But additionally, one creature of your choice, presumably the one that you're hitting with your organic weapon, takes necrotic damage equal to that number. Yep. I mean, Cool. I guess obviously if you roll a 1, that's like, oh well, fine. But like it all helps.
Yeah.
And also it's hit points. It's not temporary hit points.
Yeah, exactly. I was just about to say that. That's a really great. I don't know. I feel like all of a sudden I'm a support and I'm hitting people, and then all of a sudden I'm healing people with hitting people, and also I'm healing myself, dealing more damage. Yeah. That's just great stuff.
I definitely, as the facilitator, I'd be like, you describe to me how you managed to heal people. Yeah. At the same time as causing, and I just maybe I don't know, because maybe the necrotic damage is from this is awful. This horrific hand blade is like, boop, 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 like hit, like slapping people, like you got this bird, slap them better. I don't know.
Like I could imagine this being like sucking the life force out of someone and channeling it through you to give it to other people. But at that point, it feels less psionic and more like a necromancer, right? And so that does feel a little dissonant to me. But
yeah. The metamorph. I don't know who came up on that lunch break, but I like it.
I like it. Feels weird in this class, but I love it. Yeah. It is the most outlandish one out of all of these, considering we started being like, psionics, now your body's a weapon. That's a weird jump, but I like the idea. I just feel like maybe it's a little bit like packed too full in a way. So,
definitely. I think again for me, like it does feel like all these classes are in some way more superhero-esque.
Yeah, that's true.
If you were going to do like a superhero setting but using 5e, then these were the ones maybe you'd suggest, perhaps.
Yeah, I think that's a great point to bring up. Yeah.
Next up, we have this Psi Warper. Warp space with the power of your mind. You manipulate the space between objects, capable of teleporting across the battlefield and creating vacuums in space. The Psi Warper is never in one place for too long. Yeah. Very interesting. It feels very much like, almost like a strategy person of like, I'm going to move you here. Yeah. I'm going to move you all the way on the fucking there. It feels like a proper chess master. Again, this is the sort of person you're like, I do not want to deal with this person. This can be quite scary.
Yeah. I think this one feels very prescriptively flavorful, right? Like knowing that's like my thing is that I teleport all over the place. Now that is like really honed in flavor, right? I like the feeling of that a lot.
Yeah, for sure. And spells as well. Again, you always get some spells. They're all, again, very thematic. You got expeditious, I can't even say it. Expeditious, there you go, thank you. Expeditious retreat, feather fall, misty step, shatter, link haste again. So it's very Nightcrawler. That's what we're getting here.
Yeah. Man, I didn't even make that connection. You're so right. It is so Nightcrawler.
It's kind of interesting when you look at it. You go, someone's been watching X-Men, the new X-Men, I think.
Yeah, you're right. Gosh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, keep going.
Like banishment, dimension door, steel wing strike, teleportation circle. Again, I think all of them. We sort of mentioned it earlier, but like all the spells do finally feel thematic to the class. We've had a couple ones recently where it's gone like, why have you taken this away? Because it was part of the class, and teleportation. You cast Misty Step without expending a spell slot, but you must finish a long rest before you cast it again in this way. Yeah, but Misty Step itself, it's 15 feet.
Yeah, is it 15 now?
I think it's 15 feet.
I thought it was, you know what?
Double check for me.
In 5th edition, it was 30.
Maybe I've met...
But... you know what?
I think so. Double check it, because I might be wrong. I always thought it was small. Yeah. And then it's like, okay, you don't get, you've got one way to get out, but then you've got to run. Yeah. I always thought it was 50
feet. No, it's 30. Yeah.
30? Great.
It's still 30, which is great. I do think that 30 is a pretty solid amount of distance.
Yes. You would be able to get at least across the room or something like that. Yeah. But still, I do think it's still a little mean. Like, you must finish a long rest and, use your psionic energy die to do it again. Okay, I guess. I think I'm always that sort of person who goes, now that we've got this whole thing of like, it's this feature is related to your intelligence modifier. Yeah. I think that should be that. Like if it's +2, you get to use it twice before you need to long rest and get it back. You know what I mean? I just feel like, you're going to use your energy die. I'm like, okay, I guess. I don't know.
I will say, if I could maybe have a contentious point to that, I do like the idea of later in the game using a die, and every single time I do, like every single turn, I'm using a die to teleport, and like my turn goes teleport, do something, teleport, do, because I have like 12 of them. That feels really cool. And I think there are some things later in the class that may affect Misty Step. Level 6 does something very specifically with it, which is also really good. So I think that it does feel expensive early. I will say for sure, because you only have 4, and that feels like very small amount for a single day.
You want to be using it for your cool disciplines or adding damage or something like that.
Yeah, there's so many things that cost the psionic energy die. I feel like we are at an embarrassment of riches for this type of scenario with especially the Psi Warper.
Yeah, so, 100%. Yeah. Also at level 3, you got the warp propel. So when a target fails its saving throw against your telekinetic propel, instead of pushing it, you can teleport it instead. So rather than this push and pull thing, you can be like, because it has to be on you when you do that. You can push it away from you or draw it towards you. Here you're like, absolutely not. So I'm going to put it behind something. But within 30 feet still to you, that is horizontal. You can't be like...
Yes.
But I did think it was like, somebody's done that.
Somebody's going to do this.
Someone's going to do that in playtesting. It's like,
I'll just lay on my side, and then I can teleport them directly up. That's fine. Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. I do like that, though. I think that is a cool way to increase the telekinetic propel's power. That's what I was saying. It's like, I wish they would just give you telekinetic propel with
as
this
you
class.
Get this class. Absolutely. Level 6, warp space. So when you cast Shatter, you can expend the energy die to modify it so its radius becomes 20 feet. Originally it was 10 feet. And if creatures fail the saving throw against the spell, they're pulled straight towards the centre of the sphere.
I love that.
So cool, isn't it? Like, you just bring them in, as close to the sphere as possible. So
I love that.
Really
honestly,
cool.
I really like that they kind of hard committed to, like, when you cast Shatter, it's like nothing else but Shatter. It's like you now feel like this spell has so much power to it. Even when you cast it later levels, I feel like that type of... I think you said it, like it's like someone playing chess. It's this battlefield manipulation, right? And when you cast Shatter, you just pull everybody in. It feels really cool. No matter what level, it's going to be good.
Yeah, it feels really cool. It feels very aggressive as well. And just, again, you have that very cool moment, like, oh, do not fuck with this guy.
Definitely.
I really liked, again, just the visual of it seemed really cool. And then, the teleporter combat, you said this before, so like after you cast Misty Step, you can cast one of your psionic cantrips that has a casting time of an action as part of the bonus action.
Yeah. So good.
Yeah, really cool.
This is even better than the Metamorph one. Yeah. Right? Because the Metamorph one, it's like you get to... Or sorry, it's better than the Quickened Healing. I was thinking about the Quickened Healing when I was thinking about this, because it was quickening Cure Wounds. Yeah. But like that takes 2. But when you do this with Teleporter Combat, it's like I use my psionic die, and it doesn't cost me... Like it costs that to do the Misty Step, but then after the Misty Step, I also get to Cantrip, and it's these things that chain into each other that I like about the focus of this subclass.
Because you can really like hone it down if you're sort of that person that goes, right, for this kind of combat, I need to do this. These are moves I can do, and chain those moves like a fighting game. And again, obviously, you don't have to be like that, but if you are interested, if it scratches that itch for you, and having that thing, you go, oh, okay, that person's down, but if I do this, and this is the most efficient way to help them, but also do something. It's really satisfying.
That. Yes.
Absolutely. Level 10 is duplicitous. Oh, I can't even say the word. How do you say this? Duplicitous target. This is what I think is really cool. Again, it's that sort of thing where you check in with people going like, are you okay for me to do this? When a creature you can see makes an attack roll against you, you take a reaction to spend one of your die and choose a willing creature you see within 30 feet of you that doesn't have the incapacitated condition. You swap places.
That's so cool.
Because you just go, oh, no thank you. You do it, and the paladin's there with their plus 21 AC. Boom, doesn't work. Love that. I think that's so fucking cool.
This is one of those things that I feel should be in more classes, like more ways to So I've seen in D&D a lot of people complain about like, oh, this tank, like I don't feel like I can be a tank, right? Because I don't have any like aggro stuff, like where it's like, you have to attack me, right?
Yeah.
What if more classes had things like, oh, find someone that's willing and like they can defend for you or something like that. And I like that for this duplicitous target thing. It lets tanks be tanks while also letting you feel cool about it, right? And I think that's a great way to make them feel good and you feel good.
Yeah, I think it's just again like that image that you see in all these big Dragon Ball Z, sort of changing things. It just feels so anime.
Yes, it does.
And I just I can imagine it just again. What I like about it, like this, is that you are. Particularly with this class, you are looking at what your other people are doing. It's not, again, before I know it was like, oh, edgelord, only me. Here you're like, okay, you're good at this, I'm going to talk to you about something. I'm going to do this. Is this okay? Cool. And then, I just feel that you become the team support player, but you're thinking like, big braining this literally about this sort of thing.
And it's not like it's not specifically like curing wounds or something like that, like as a support player, but it's like managing the battlefield, making sure everybody's in the correct position type of support player.
It's very much like if you've ever played a Pandemic board game. It's like one roll in that goes, right, moving you here. All right, you're going to do this. All right, I'm the logistics guy. I'm going to get you to where you need to be on the battlefield. So and then finally, level 14, mass teleportation. So as a magic action, or just an action, I don't know. You spend 4 psionic energy dice to choose huge or smaller creatures within 30 feet of you, up to a number of creatures equal to your intelligence modifier. Each of those chosen creatures are teleported to an unoccupied space you can see within 150 feet of you.
Nice.
Great.
That's so good.
Again, it's a way that you can get people out of danger quickly. My only question is, again, about semantics. Does that include yourself? I assume it does. Well, I don't know. Because normally it says including yourself, right? This is the thing I always wonder.
Yeah. You expend psionic energy die, and you choose huge or smaller creatures within 30 feet of yourself, up to a number of creatures equal to your intelligence modifier. Yeah, it doesn't say that it is you. I guess it definitely, like, you have to be one. Well, you don't have to teleport yourself. I don't
think it's fine, but I feel like that's the sort of contention would be like, oh, but I want to teleport. We're going to get out of here.
Yeah.
How would I get out of here? So I don't know. That was the only thing I was wondering about, like, do I include myself in this? I would just say yes, obviously, because, the level 14, you're spending these 4... these energy dice for it. Of course you want to do that.
And I just looked it up as well. You have 10 when you hit 14. So it's not like all of them, but it's a fair portion.
It's a Hail Mary, essentially. Like, oh, something's bad going wrong. Oh, we need to get rid of these. There's a big lava pit. Let's get the big bad over the lava pit or anything like that.
And it even says you can teleport huge or smaller, and it can be unwilling creatures as well. So that's really cool.
Really cool. Really cool.
As I went through this entire class, I just wrote neat for every single feature, and I was like, none of these make me feel like they're like really overloaded, like I felt with the metamorph. Don't get me wrong, I really like the metamorph, but I do feel like there's a lot of dessert to eat with that, right? And this one, I just feel like, I feel really solid about all of these. I don't feel like any of them is out of place or clashing with the fantasy of the rest of the class. And it just feels like a great execution.
I feel like with the metamorph, again, one of those I'd like to play, but I'd feel really cheeky because I'd be like, could I do this little thing? Could I do it? No. Whereas the Psy Warrior Warper, you're like, right.
Yeah.
You told me this, GM. I'm going to do these things.
Yeah.
And it's like just being on the same level, and you're not cheating anyone out of any system. You're like, this is how I play. Whereas this is like, well, I've got Viscera that's just been thrown out of me. So both of them seem fun. But I agree. I think the Psy Warper is good. I think maybe it's undervalued because it comes after what an opener. And then people go, wait, well, So I think I agree. I think it's one of my favourite one. That I'm like, this will be cool to try out.
It feels very focused, and it feels very effective at executing a specific fantasy, right? And I think that's, to me, what a subclass generally should feel like. And so that's why I think I have issues with the metamorph, just because it feels like it's trying to take the Psion class and change it into something else.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's, once again, cool subclass, but nonetheless. Yeah,
absolutely. The third one we have is the Psykinetic. Mold psionic force for creation and destruction. It controls their psionic powers like a malleable force. They bend telekinetic energies into sturdy barriers and strike with the force of a battering ram. This is, going back to my sort of cultural references, in The Incredibles we have Violet, who makes force fields, essentially. But it took me a long time to realise that, because I was just like, going do they make stuff? So it's making energy. And I thought that was quite cool. But again, maybe I need a little bit of flavour for me personally to get started, because I was going what is this? At least before you had the body one. Oh, you have this person who is the battlefield, and they're like, who are you? What are you in this grand scheme of the scale of horrible body stuff and the battlefield?
It feels like there's definitely a downward slope in the wildness of what these things can do as we go further into this. And I do feel like I kind of got a little off-put by the way that it says battering ram. I feel a little like it's like, oh, okay, so I'm just like a blunt force weapon, right? And that made me feel a little odd. And hearing what you say about like, trying to create these force fields, that feels more reasonable as a description.
Like that's what it was described as in the video that they released. But what was interesting about the video is that they kind of just like glossed over everything. It wasn't into too much detail. And I wonder again if it's like, we need to get this out. We don't have time, and maybe the people there are like, we don't know really what this is either. So maybe there's a bit more confusion around it. Because in my head, like, because I know later on there's like spells which are like, oh shit, this is pretty fucking brutal. But I don't necessarily see the silent. We keep going about it as like the tank. You can be the tank if you want. But for this I'm just like, they're stopping enemies. You are debuffing or you're preventing them from getting. You're containing. That's how I saw this particular class.
I feel like this is very much like a Violet or Miss Fantastic kind of feeling. Man, you're so right. As we keep going, I'm very much like, wow, this is a lot of superhero stuff. I came in here thinking that this was all Eldritch horror stuff, or like Eldritch mind stuff. But
it kind of fools you, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. You're right.
Level 3, again, some more spells, stuff like Cloud of Daggers, Shield, Thunder Wave, again, lots of sort of sphere-related things, and Wall of Force at the end with telekinesis. Like, again, thematic as such. Telekinetic Crush, which is a new one for this UA, which feels very thematic. Again, that you just, I can imagine you've got your hands and you're just like crushing them together, and then people just slowly folding into a box. Horrible. Telekinetic techniques. Try to say that too many times fast.
I don't think I'll let you take the delivery for this one.
So again, when you ever use your telekinetic propel, you can impose one of the following effects. So we've got boost, we've got disorient, and you've got telekinetic bolt. Boost is interesting because it's like the target's speed is increased by 10 feet till the start of the mission. So that is like a supported for your ally. Whereas the other two, they are sort of damaging. And I think that's interesting. I personally would like to see more. Again, it's level 3, so maybe it's cheeky, but I'd love to see another supporting one. Just because like it feels like, when are you ever going to use boost?
I like the idea of these, right? Like, because this feels very much like, you're right. Like the propel is the supportive thing of this class, right? But boost feels a little odd at only 10, and I feel frustrated that I can't target myself with that. Because it's only another creature other than you, right? And
that's
so I can't. I checked it earlier, and it was very much like, I was like, oh, that sounds cool. What if I do that for myself? And it was like, other than you. And I'm like, oh, dang, I kind of want to make myself go fast.
Because like you back yourself up against the wall, you want to go supersonic, and you just push yourself forward.
Nope,
that makes sense.
Can't do it. You have to target someone else.
Interesting.
Which is odd. So,
Disorient, the target cannot make opportunity attacks until the start of its next turn. The only thing I had on this, I like this a lot, this idea that they're like, it's stars and birds around you. Again, maybe it's cheeky. I'd like it to be the start of my next turn. Because like I don't know where, because it's start of its next turn.
You're right.
Because it's like the stunning strike for monks, right? They like till the start, and it's just you're beating this person back and forth because they could go straight after you, right?
I think the only thing that would make me be like, oh, like maybe I get it is like, because then it is something more for the DM to track, because they gain a reaction back or they gain their opportunity attack back. But I like that idea. Maybe it should just be like opportunity attacks. No, I don't think there's a more elegant way to put it, really. I agree with you. I do think that it would be nicer for it to do that, for sure.
Because then it's like I just thought it's like, because rather, it just again, because it's that initiative thing, again, you might be like, oh, they're going to get back at ASAP, and I'm trying to get someone out of there, perhaps.
If you're right before them, it's going to feel really bad to use disorient on them, because then they're not going to be able to, you're not going to be able to protect anyone with that, because it's going to be like, you can't attack me, I guess, but I've already pushed you 30 feet away, and now I don't need to worry about you, and no one else that gets any benefit from this. So,
And then, finally is the bolt. Again, it just gives a bit more damage, essentially force damage when you're, again, pushing people. Again, I like it. Again, it uses that die. Again, it's like, oh, not only have I pushed them this across the battlefield, but also they've taken, like, damage because they hit something in the way. So,
And at this point, like, at level 3, like, you're still rolling d6s, but, like, when you roll 5 times 6 is, like, that's 30 feet maximum. It's not short distance, right? That's an entire run cycle for one person on a turn.
Pretty good. Yeah, I really like that. This is where those modes, remember those modes?
Yeah.
There you go.
We're bringing them back.
So yes, empowered attack mode at level 6. When this is active, you gain a fly speed.
I like that.
Great.
This is great.
Again, Dragon Ball Z. This shit, amazing. When you cast a Psion spell, you add your intelligence modifier to one of the damage rolls of that spell.
You know what?
Cool.
I like that. I think that's that has been something that the Evoker, I think, has had in 5e at level 10 for like a long time. Really, just like a super solid ability for anybody, any spellcaster to have.
Rebounding Field is another one at level 6. When you cast a shield in response to being hit by an attack roll and cause a triggering attack to miss, expend a die to launch back the force back at the attacker. They then have to make a saving throw, roll 2 energy dice. On a failed save, they take force damage equal to the amount rolled, and you gain temporary hit points as a result. And then obviously, successful save, they only take half as much damage. Pretty good. I like, again, it's either throwing it back. It's, really cool.
I like that idea. I'm also a sucker for the shield spell. It's like, I love that dang spell, even though I know a lot of people are like, this thing is super strong. But it is strong, but I love the fantasy of the spell shield. Like, it fulfills very specific fantasy, and seeing that, increased by, giving you a boon for that, I love seeing spells get that extra attention, like Shatter from the last one. So,
absolutely. Yeah. Next we have level 10, we've got Enhanced Telekinetic.
Yep.
Crush. So that crush that we had, that sort of spell, when you expend 1 energy die to modify the spell, whenever that creature fails, their speed is still half. So again, they're being pushed into this little box. I just thought that was really, very thematic. And again, the whole thing of it doesn't say necessarily that, you have a force field, it's purple in colour, or anything like that. But again, I just like the idea that you're moulding these things around people and then getting it crushed.
I really like that fantasy of that. It feels very, once again, it's fantastic, pulling that in and just crushing people. Yeah,
absolutely. Levels 14, it's called Heightened Telekinesis. Again, similar sort of thing to what we had before. When you cast Telekinesis, the spell, expend 4 energy die to modify it, so it doesn't require concentration. Holy heck.
Whoa.
Pretty good.
That's a good level 14, honestly.
It becomes 1 minute for that casting, and you can target gargantuan creatures and objects.
Whoa. Honestly, okay, when I first read this, I'm going to show you my notes here.
Yep.
It's just has boring question mark for this one, and as I keep hearing you explain how you're seeing this, I'm like, I kind of love this, actually.
I think, again, it just feels like when you start off with that one, here's the body one, and then here's the battlefield, I think the only thing with this one, this psychonetic, is I want more stuff with the force fields, perhaps, or maybe more laid out. We talked about this verbose thing before.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Because I like this idea. It's I am now controlling these things. I just need a little bit more. But maybe we don't have any or lots more cultural touchstones that are here's something that you can get with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
I think that for this, I think talking about it has helped me a little bit, because maybe reading the Metamorph and then the Psywarper right after each other and then looking at the latter too, I'm like, holy, this is nothing compared to the first two. But I actually really like them now, talking it out. I think that this one as well fills a very specific fantasy.
I think, I wonder, again, if we were doing this sort of superhero-esque type story, I wouldn't be mad at old Scions, you know what I mean?
Of course.
At least these 3, they feel very different and could do something really interesting in the battlefield. Again, the Psywarper could really work well with the Metamorph and just throwing that person there. And the Psychonetic, again, just bringing everyone into one place.
That sounds so cool.
Because that's the thing, sometimes you're if you play the same class as someone else, can it be different?
Yeah.
And I think it can be. Again, as long as everyone's on the same page about what they can do.
Yep.
And not be mad if they're well, that's what I was going to do. It's we've all got Propel.
Yeah.
We've all got Telepathy, even though only one of us can talk to one other person at the same time, and you have to be in a certain number of feet,
Man, one of my favorite comics of all time is X-Men. The John Hickman X-Men run is one of my favorite just comic book runs of all time. And if I were to ever run an X-Men small story, just being everybody chooses Psion, just make it however you want for X-Men. I feel like you could do a lot with that. So
100%. And then we finally come to the Telepath, aka Professor X.
Yep.
And it's fine.
It's fine. Yeah. It is very specific, but telepathic hub. I'm looking at it again, and it's driving me nuts.
I don't know. Again, it says master tactician or tactics in a landscape of the mind.
Yeah.
The masters of mind magic, and you're can you say mind anymore?
Yeah.
I don't know. again, I wonder if this is supposed to be the social deduction kind of one, where you can, bolster mental defenses of allies or probe the force undetected. Like, cool.
Yeah.
Some really cool, like the mind infiltration one, where it's like you spend your energy die to modify the detect force spell, so it doesn't require any spell components or concentration. And they don't realise that you're probing their mind if they fail the wisdom save.
I do really like that.
That's really cool.
I think there's a lot of good, like, flavorful stuff in here. But then, I feel like I get back to this. I don't know. I get back to this kind of feeling of like, I don't know, in comparison, it feels a little odd to me.
I think, we kind of hit the nail on the head in terms of that telepathy, like, what does it mean? Because I think that's the whole point of this, is that you're able to communicate to people. And when that's such a contentious thing anyway, I feel like, indeed, in the sense of, like, you, the player, knows what's happening here, but your party isn't aware. How do you communicate that? Because everyone's got that meta knowledge, and it's trying to be like, let's be fair to the story. You don't know that they're, the guards are there, but you, the player, so that's what I think. It just, like I said, it feels mean. I think
the telepathic hub. It says, I'll read it. It says you have telepathy with a range of 10 feet when you expend a psionic energy. So it's +5 from the normal one. And then when you expend a psionic energy die as a part of your telepathic connection to increase the range of it, for the duration, you can simultaneously contact a number of creatures equal to 1 plus the number rolled on the psionic energy die. And I wish they would have said something like, you create a web for a certain number of people and all of you can communicate together, right? I think that would have made more sense and would have been less, I don't know, like, like nitpick confusion-y, I guess. Like, I would rule, if I were playing if I was a DM and I saw someone use this, I'd be like, I don't want you to have to be this hub. Like, you can all talk to each other. But, like, as written, it doesn't feel very
Well, that's
clear.
it, because, instantly I go, I'm not having this back and forth thing, because, unless there's a comedy bit to it, fine. But, like, because you imagine, like, okay, I'm going to, I'm at level whatever, and I'm like, okay, I can roll a d8 now. And then you go, oh, still only 3. And they're like, well, there's 5 of us in the part. It's like, okay. But also, this is the thing as well, because as soon as this stops working, then you're going to get sending stones. You're going to get a magic item that you can, a ring of whatever, and just go like, so I think in my head, what it should be is probably like, you don't have this silent die. You can just contact up to your wisdom modifier, your intelligence modifier. So it's like, okay, you're always going to get a guarantee of 2 or 3, or 4, or whatever, you know. I think because that's safe. Because imagine, like, why would I ever roll a d12 and be like, I need 12 people? There's going to be better ways of being on the Zoom call, the Discord call.
Yes.
And I just was there like, man, this seems
especially when you're in the center of the Discord call.
There's too many notifications.
Everybody is in a separate channel, and I have to hop into each channel to have a conversation with everybody. Feels very weird. So,
again, thematic, yes, but I'm just saying, like, there must be something better we can do with that telepathic hub. I agree. Then we get, empowered defense mode.
Neat. And by neat, I mean,
When your defense mode is activated, whenever you make a save throw, you add a d4 to the save. Additionally, you can extend this benefit to anyone that you're telepathically connected with. Right, okay. Cool. A d4 at level 6. Like, can we...
A d4 is pretty small.
Just give us a d6. Stop being mean. Like, this is why I'm like, they're being so mean. It makes me cross. Like, we're going to abuse it because you're going to give us 12 d12s at the end. But, like, come on.
It is a little... I feel like I could roll a psi die and then I could divide it by 2, round it up. I feel like that's pretty reasonable, right? Like 12, 6 max, right? That seems great. A d4 at the beginning is like, of course not. But, like, I mean, you can't... How much different is a d4 from a d6 divided by 2 rounded up? Right? Like, that's 3, and I still think that's fine, right? Like, I feel like as I go up, I would really want to feel strong about this. And so, because, like, I mean, think about it. Paladins you just get straight flat. Like, if you have a charisma of 20, flat 5 just to all saving throws near them. Really good.
Just give us the thing.
Just a little bit more would be great.
It's so... Again, I think it's because they're like, well, you're just gonna, you're gonna abuse it. I'm like, no, just I want to play Psions. Make me want to play.
But maybe I want to play. Telepath already doesn't feel like a combat class. No. So if I'm not good at combat, then I'm hopefully good at something else in combat, which is apparently my empowered defense mode, which I only get to use a d4 for, which feels a little weird.
So small. The other level 6 one, we got Potent Thoughts, which is you add your intelligence modifier to damage you deal with any Psion cantrip. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Still, like, once again, solid, but okay. The other one got it to any Psion spell.
Yeah, give us the spell.
Yeah.
Like, again, maybe it's just like you're not expected to do lots of damage. It's like, just give us... Like,
but then why is the feature here?
Yeah.
Right?
It feels like, again, it's that something where like, well, we want to do something with the mind stuff.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
This feels like a lot of bandwidth consumed by one thing that is worse than the last one.
You add your intelligence modifier and you do psychic damage to any... thing you do.
And also, additionally, what they say here is you add your intelligence modifier, but not only that is you don't get any ability of like attacking another time, right? All the other classes, they get a bonus to that and they can attack again when they do it. This one, it says you can't do that, so I'm less incentivized to cast cantrips anyways, right? So it feels a little weird.
Yeah,
so.
It's... Level 10, we have Telepathic Bolstering. Your telepathy, guess what? 30 feet now, my friend. Amazing.
That's great.
When you see a creature within a range of your telepathy fail an ability check or miss with an attack roll, you can take a reaction to expend an energy die, roll the die, and add that number to the d20, potentially turning it into success.
Yep.
Again, so it's bardic inspiration kind of.
I like that.
Great.
Yeah, I think that's cool. It feels like this class wants to be a web for their party, and I feel like it's not doing the best at that. Yeah. I feel like level 6, the Potent Thoughts one, I think really sent that home to me when I first read this. Yeah. I literally have written over top of it boring frowny face because it was just like, this feels so out of place, right? Yeah. I feel like if I were to do that, I'd be like, oh, well, I want to like be giving people temporary hit points or something like that. Or like, I don't, anything. Like I want to be like giving out I want to be the center point of my team, like for like combat or for like buffs or something like that. Yeah. But that doesn't feel like it's really a cohesive through line.
100%. And I will say one thing I haven't mentioned with the energy die, even though we're towards the end of it, a lot of the times when you're using it is only expended when you succeed or the attack hits or anything like that. That's really cool.
I do love that.
I think that's great. I think, again, that goes into that streamlining thing of, when you do a spell and then it goes, counterspell, and you're like, okay, well, I've wasted my turn. Yeah. Here it's like, oh, you've not wasted that resource. Yeah. And I like that. I think, again, it'd be cool to try it out and see how that works, because maybe I'm like failing more. I don't mind. I've made a choice or something like that. Yeah. But I was just like, oh, that's really cool, actually.
And Scramble Minds.
I was going to say this. Yeah. Oh, first of all, great name for it. When you cast Confusion, you expend, again, 4 energy dice to modify the spell so the radius becomes a sphere of 30 feet. Yeah. And in addition, the creatures under the effect of the spell roll 2d10s, and you choose which roll determines their behavior on their turns. Yeah. Very cool. Again,
I would say, like, that type of capstone for a subclass, like that, like, the level 10 and the level 14 abilities here, they feel really good, right? But the rest of it beforehand, I'm like, it feels like...
Why would you pick it?
Like getting to level 10 to 14 feels really late, right? Yeah. So,
and especially like when we're looking at if you're only getting that sort of vanilla base class to begin with, it's just like what are you going to do? Yeah. And like we said before, likelihood is that you're going to be maybe starting at level 3, maybe doing one or two levels. Yeah. If you're just testing this out, and if you're playing this, you're like,
nah. A lot of this, I feel like a lot of the kind of feedback that we can give like towards this stuff is very mental when it comes to looking at these things, and so because a lot of people probably won't get there, right? Unless you play some crazy one shot where you're like, yes, I definitely want to test this. And you know what? I keep Unearthed Arcana that they've changed from a long time ago because there's some stuff in there that I really love, right? But I do think that this is one of those things where, it would be difficult to really get a full grasp of how powerful that type of stuff was. But the 10 to 14, they feel like they're the capstone of this subclass, and it feels a little odd to have it so far back in test material.
And just the final thing, just to sort of sign off with, like we said, we kind of mentioned these wild talents, these sort of feats, which again, the reason I sort of put it was like it's more of a, hey, if you want a flavour of the Psion class, you could do it, or you could double down. Yeah. And the only thing that really is interesting about it is that there's a little bit of flavour and then a talent underneath it. Yeah. But what I liked about it was that a lot of it could be, well, what if you want to be the pyronesis? If you want to be the fire person? Do you want to do lightning? Do you want to do more health stuff? Yeah. Do you want to be the empath? Yeah. I think they're all quite flavoursome. Like whether or not like they work or not, obviously, is a different thing. I just thought there was an interesting thing to take, but interestingly, you could only ever take one of them.
Yeah, and I love that feeling.
That's what I like. I like you. Whatever you make, that's going to be part of your character, and it's going to be important.
Yeah.
For not only combat, but for your role playing as well. So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
And I, again, looking at those discipline options, again, suggestions of like, hey, take these ones if you want to be this kind of archetype.
Yeah.
I think just be. Just a little bit more tight up on that. So
And I think because they do that, they can give them more power as well. You know, you get 2 really great features from each of these wild talents. I think that one of my favorites was the bend life energy. I think that one is or the biokinesis, like having the ability to be such a support thing based in a feat. I think that actually, when I first started playing D&D, I was like, I kind of want to do a little bit of healing. What do I have for that? And they're like, you can take the healer feat and you can use medicine kits. And it's like, they're kind of less bad.
Yeah.
So, I think that the fact that they have better ones here and they've been like, you can only take one, but you can have a great feat for it, feels really good. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And I think overall, I think, like you said, I think like they've done some big swings and it's interesting. Yeah. I'm curious to see how it goes. Again, I have my own sort of reservations about putting Scions across, but like the comments from what I was seeing about like, it shouldn't be spellcasting. I don't care.
I don't have any really strong opinion on that.
No, like whatever. Yeah. Like, but you know, like I said, if it encourages people to think more outside of the fantasy, and we do a bit more like the Stranger Things, have a bit more sci-fi and a bit more eldritch, perhaps. I'm all for that. Yeah, I'd like to see stories that use this and getting people to tell the stories that aren't necessarily Western fantasy. I think I'll be interested to see what remains of the Scion class when eventually it comes. I think, like, again, I'm not entirely sure what it's going to be, whether it's going to be next year we're going to have a setting. Maybe, again, I feel Dark Sun, but that seems wild to bring that out. Maybe it's going to be something. Maybe I'm hoping for something new. Maybe it's an addition to, like you sort of mentioned, Spelljammer. Maybe it's going to be expansion on that. We don't know, so.
I'm not sure, but ultimately, I think, long story short, I like a lot of what's in here. I do think that some of it is like a little disparate, but I think that it's good to have a big swing like this, and I think. I hope they don't remove too much of it, right? Honestly, I know I said a lot of garbage about the Metamorph, about like how it's like really like heavy packed, but like I think that the fantasy of the Metamorph is like really solid too, and so I'm hoping that they don't just like completely gut it, because I think that there has been times in the past where they've gotten maybe scared from the feedback they've received from Unearthed Arcana, and I hope that they don't get too scared.
No, I agree. Well, Alan, thank you so much for talking to me all about Scions. I think we've talked loads about stuff, but I'm just going to finish off. Is there anything you'd like to plug? Any recommendations that you've discovered, either with obviously running games or anything like that? Yeah, is there anything you'd like to?
No, I don't think I have anything specific to plug right now, but I just want to say, thank you for letting me come chat with you. This has been so wonderful, and I've really, really enjoyed having another nerd friend just to chat with about this stuff. Yeah,
that's okay. I will send you $20 after the end of this episode. I've not forced you into a room for like 2 hours once we've just talked about Scions.
Great, now I can go now. Yeah.
Help us, yes.